We're with Steve Cook. We're in Knoxville, Tennessee. Steve, what are we about to do? Where are we? What are we doing?
I have a settlement that we're walking into, a title company, a house that I'm selling.
Okay.
Hopefully it goes through today.
Okay.
I have a feeling when we get in here, they're going to tell me that the funding hasn't come through yet, but we'll see
All right.
what happens. But we'll go in and sign some paperwork.
Are we going in or are we still waiting?
Well, we're going in.
All right, let's go. So this is a house that like you've had for a while? Or
Renovated.
This is a flip?
Yeah, a flip.
Okay, wow.
So we bought it for 133, selling it for 305. Put about 100 into it.
Oh, wow.
My son is 19 years old. He's my real estate agent, and I've been teaching him the ropes through all of this.
That's right.
Funding happening today?
Hopefully so. I'm still waiting on docs for the buyers, but
So when you say docs, you're talking about?
phone package.
Okay. They usually are. It takes longer to sell than it does to buy.
So Steve, you're still doing real estate, obviously.
I have never stopped.
You moved to Knoxville how long ago?
In 2000, 5 years ago.
2020.
Yep. 2020.
Okay. And then you just picked up where you left off, just in a different town.
Yeah, I was investing originally. I started in Baltimore, Maryland, and I was very high volume there. Life treated me good, and when I say high volume, it was high volume by that standard at that time. I hear of guys who do as many deals in a month as I did in a year then, but I was doing 50 to 65 deals a year back then.
Jeez. And what kind of deals were those?
Mostly wholesale flips.
Okay.
And early in my career, I was trying to do a lot of rehabs. I had 13 rehabs going at one time, and thought I was going to go under, go broke at that time.
It's a lot.
And I was wholesaling deals just to make the mortgage payments on the rehabs. And I came to realize I can't do that many at one time. So I've made it a policy ever since that time to really keep things simple, to never really do more than 2 rehabs or so at a time. When I build new houses, which I've done that too, I might have 3 or 4 going at a time because it's a little easier to systematize that and have those going. But my preference is one contractor to one house, and maybe let them get a second one started when they're close to finishing one, and just keeping it simple. There's just too many things that can go wrong when you have too many of those going at once.
Yeah. So, Steve, I think most people know you. If they know you as someone who's coached coaches. You're kind of the person who has, there's this huge kind of almost family tree of people who are now coaches. They were real estate investors at one time, now they're coaches. And then now they're coaching people who have turned into coaches. It's like this huge family tree. But I want to kind of know, how did you get started? Who's like the person who kind of brought you along, if there was a person?
So that's a good question. I got started long before any of this stuff was really going on out there. I mean, there were some speakers on the circuit. The RIA world did exist and has been around for a very long time. And, when I first got started, people like Ron LeGrand and Jeffrey Taylor, Mr. Landlord, were the ones showing up at the RIAs. And they had already been speaking for 25 years at that time. And I got started 27 years ago now. So, you're talking, Jeffrey Taylor has been in the industry for 50 years, and Ron LeGrand's been teaching for 50 years at this point. It's pretty incredible. But there was a website, the internet was just getting going, and there was a website called Creative Real Estate Online. and that's where I landed. And I was on that website, on their forum every day, asking questions.
What year would this have been?
90, 97, 98, 99.
So I started college in 99, and that's the first time I really had internet.
Yeah. Oh, it was, I mean, we was using AOL, trying to get online and stuff to get my questions answered. And it was a really active forum, and I became very well known on that forum. Once I finally got it, I got my first deal in July of 1998, and I spent really 8 months of actively trying hard, really trying to get my first deal. Almost gave up multiple times, thinking it would never work. But I kept coming back to that group for encouragement, and they would answer my questions, and I'd go back out there and do it again. And
who was, like, were there any names in that forum that you still remember that are still out there that are active?
So there was a lot of people who we were learning and growing together there. John Heyer was there, Terry Weigel and Tim Randall and Ken Holmes. We were all the David Alexander. We were all there and learning together and building our businesses at that time.
But there wasn't like a main
no
person that was kind of teaching or guiding. It was like, hey, has anyone seen this? I'm running into this problem.
Yeah,
has anyone seen this?
Yeah, so that's exactly the way that it was. And then with the high volume that I eventually started doing, I was so far ahead of everybody else with the new trends or the things that were happening. And in any case, I would just go back there and ask questions. But when I got my first deal, the light bulb went off. Everything that I thought was hard, everything that I thought, I had a hard time figuring out, where's the money going to come from? Why would somebody sell their house so cheap? A light bulb went off, and I was off to the races. It took me 8 months to get the first one, and the next 6 weeks I got 7 more deals.
These are mostly wholesales.
Oh, 100%. And all of a sudden I got it, and it made sense to me. And once it made sense, I was averaging a house a week from that point forward.
And you were in the Baltimore market then?
Yeah.
And what kind of competition was there?
We had thousands of investors in that market.
As far as wholesaling though?
As wholesaling, rehabbers, landlords, it has always been a very active real estate investor market. There were probably 3 real estate investor associations at that time that had 100 plus people showing up at them every month. And so there was no shortage of competition. And so that was a question that so many people ask me all the time. There must be no competition in Baltimore. I said, no, there's tons of competition.
I was thinking like back then there probably wasn't, but there was.
Oh, there was tons.
Wow.
And so they would, then people would say, well, why don't you go somewhere else where there's not so much competition? I said, there's a reason why there's competition here. There's money to be made. I want to jump right in there with the competition. I'm not trying to run from them. No. And my goal was just to get my fair share of deals. And, along with that, I was helping my competition. As I was learning, I was helping. And so many investors will get mad at me and say, Steve, you're just creating more competition for us. And, you're hurting us all. And I said, it's not hurting me. That's, those people want to work with me, and those people are helping me. And when, yes, I'm teaching them how to find deals. And when they can't pull that deal off themselves, they bring it to me. And so I always just had a heart for helping people. But, I was dead broke. I mean, I had nothing. I was almost homeless when I was first getting started. And so I just really had a heart for helping other people. And once I started figuring out, I wanted to teach as many people as I could how to do it, because it was changing my life. Mm-hmm. And so I never had that mentality. I want to hold back and not, not teach other people. When I taught everything that I did. I didn't hold back on anything. And people are like, why are you teaching me exactly how you do it? Well, there's plenty out there for all of us. Go get your fair share. And, if you do better than me, and force me to get better and do a better job the next time. And so, it was just this abundance thing. And like I said, when in the midst of that, I was just really blessed. And I mean, I think God just really had his hand upon everything that I was doing. And on that note, I'll just say that when I first got started, I didn't know the Lord. So in 1998, I mean, the reason why I got into real estate investing was to make money. And it was all about getting rich. And I had just come out of a failed restaurant business. But then when I went in, started flipping houses, I wanted to, at one point, especially after a year or so in the business, I wanted to become the biggest flipper in the country. And that was sort of my goal. But I was only about a year and a half into my investing career, and I was on my knees giving my life to Jesus, and everything changed. And at that time, and I should say the first 2 years, I didn't make that much money. I did 105 deals my first 2 years in the business. But, I was so much in survival mode in the beginning that I was flipping properties for $1,000 profit, $2,000. I just wanted to bring in money to pay my bills that month. And so I was just really hustling. And about after I gave my heart to the Lord, I changed everything. And I said, Lord, I've been doing this for money. I'm doing this for you now. I want to help people. And my entire business, and I don't want to give the wrong impression. I don't want somebody to think that giving your heart to Jesus is a formula for success, because there was a legitimate heart change in me. I let go of everything. I even let go of all the money that I was making. Like, if somebody needed it, I was giving it all away. I had so much money, I didn't know what to do with it. But that changed when I started making as much in a month as I was making in a year after I gave my heart to the Lord and just said, Lord, this business is yours. I didn't change much. I didn't change anything except let go of it all. No. And the abundance that just came my way. It was no grind. I didn't have to do anything. It was just simple and easy. And people started coming in from all over the country, flying in. People wanted to pick my brain, have lunch, have dinner. And I just sat down with everybody, and I was teaching everyone. And so, this is where all the coaching really started to come from. There was 1 month, and I want to say it was July of 2001. I had just written Wholesaling for Quick Cash, and the reason I wrote that was to help everybody and not have to answer all the questions.
It was a book?
A book. I'll show you a copy when we get in the
all
office.
Right.
I'll show you the first copy.
Let's go. Sorry for the quick interruption. Briefly, I just wanted to mention our mastermind conference that's coming up October 6th and 7th right here in Birmingham, Alabama. I want to invite you out here. I know a lot of y'all watch our YouTube videos, and I'm super, super grateful, but I want to meet you in person. If you have done real estate or you're getting started in real estate, this is the conference for you. It's a smaller, intimate environment to where we can actually help you. I've got a lot of great speakers coming, including my great friend Tom Kroll is going to be there, plus a lot of other folks from our region and from our area here in Central Alabama. So if you're in real estate, trying to get started in real estate, and you want to come meet me and hang out with other high-level real estate investors, come out to the Board of Advisors Mastermind Conference. It's in Birmingham, Alabama, October 6th and 7th. Get in the room. This is the thing that really launched my real estate journey back 13 years ago, is getting around high-level people in a smaller, intimate environment. So come on out, Birmingham, October 6th and 7th. Go to boamastermind.com, enter that promo code EARLY, EARLY, and get that big discount. I'll see you guys in Birmingham. So I don't mean to cut Steve off, but we're in Knoxville, Tennessee today, and I'm gonna follow Steve around for about an hour. So he's got some stuff to do later on, but I wanted to really just introduce, if you don't know Steve, I want to introduce everyone to him, and I'm grateful for your time, Steve. So I didn't mean to cut you off. So,
no sweat.
So you wrote a book,
and the reason I wrote the book was I was answering the same questions over and over and over again for people, and so I wanted to just give everybody 100% this not hold back anything and teach them exactly what I was doing. And so I had talked about the website, Creative Real Estate Online. They said, Steve, we'll sell it for you. And I was like, okay, no big deal. I wasn't writing the book to make money. I was writing the book to help people. And we're going all the way back to 2001. This book for $147. And I think they discounted it to $120, $127 for the first week. I made $34,000 the first week.
What?
With that book. And I had
by having it on the website?
Yeah. And so I had no clue that thing would ever make me money. I was just very, very blessed by it. Wholesaling for quick cash made me, for many, many years to come, just complete passive income. It probably leveled out in the $5,000 to $10,000 a month range. And so the very first version of it, clip art and a 3-ring binder.
I remember clip art.
And this was the first copy that came off.
Oh my gosh. Still in the plastic. I wonder how much I could get for this on eBay.
And then we upgraded a little bit and made it a paperback. This was the very first one of those. And
That's awesome.
And then JP Moses brought me into the more real life. And this had CDs and things that came with it. But
look at that. Who's that guy right there? Wow.
So JP was known for the version 2.0.
2.0. There you go.
So, but this is where it all got started. And so I was having lunch and dinner with so many people who wanted to just pick my brain and learn the business. And I eventually just said, I can't keep meeting with people individually. I was getting really overwhelmed with all of the meetings. I was looking at my calendar, and it was July of 2021. I had lunch or dinner with 27 people that month. And those always turned into 3 or 4 hour meetings. Those weren't 1 hour lunches. So something had to change.
Something had changed because all these people wanted your time.
Yeah.
And you couldn't keep doing that.
And I wanted to, but I wanted to keep on helping people. But so I basically then said, okay, here's the deal. I will help anybody. It's free. I'm going to be, it was in Baltimore at a Fuddruckers restaurant. I said, I'll be at Fuddruckers the first and third Tuesday of every month at 1:00. You don't have to buy me lunch or anything. Just show up. Whoever's there, I'll stay till the last question is answered. And so every single time somebody reached out to me, I just said, hey, look, I'd love to help you. Here's what I do. It doesn't cost you a dime. Just show up. And that Fuddruckers just started filling up and filling up and filling up to the point we were taking over the whole restaurant on Tuesdays. And we literally were taking up just about the entire dining room. And I would just help every single person. And I mean, there's some big names of people who got started coming there. There's one guy, I'll just say, he manages about $2 billion of, investor loans today, has a national company for.
We don't want to name names.
We won't name names.
Okay.
But he showed up there after selling his T-shirt company and asking me for advice on what to do, how to get going. And but many people, and still to this day, many of the top investors in Baltimore came out of that meeting. So I just showed up all the time there to help everybody I could. And eventually it was just getting too big. But people were coming there and saying, Steve, I want more of you. I want more than just 2 Tuesdays. And I don't want to share you with all those other people. I want you to coach me. And I always said, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I didn't want to do boot camps or workshops or anything like that. I was just really comfortable sitting down like this, helping people. Mm-hmm. I felt very uncomfortable going in front of a room or anything like that. And so everybody just kept pushing. So that took place. And then one other thing took place, and this happened in 2002. the previous website that I was always participating on, I had somebody reach out to me and they asked me if I would let them post my articles on their website. And they said, hey, look, I know you have a relationship with that other website. I'm not looking to take anything away from them. I'm going to actually put your articles, I'm going to link back to your product on their website. And I was like, heck yeah, go for it. And about a week later, I got a phone call from the people who were selling my course, and she just ripped me apart. And, you know, who do you think you are, letting somebody else put your stuff on their website? And she said one thing that just changed everything. She said, I made you. And that was the beginning of flippinghomes.com, because I said, I'm not doing this anymore.
So you went out and got your own website.
Yeah.
And this is in a time where there really wasn't, I mean, obviously that one site that made you, there wasn't a lot of that going on, was there? Because there's no YouTube.
No, the two, so I ended up, Flipping Homes grew very, very quickly. So
how did you get it to grow so quickly?
I think just because I was helping so many people.
But how do you get that kind? And I know today there's billions of websites, and it wasn't really that way. And I remember when I was in college, I had BamaBasketball.com.
Mm-hmm.
I had that website, which someone else has it now. Obviously, I let it go, and it grew pretty quickly too. Mm-hmm. I don't think out of many of my own efforts. I think it was just kind of
I didn't know what I was doing. I think it was the perfect storm. I think God's hand was on it, because I had no clue of what I was doing. I didn't know how to market. I mean, I've already shared with you some things. There were no sales letters on that website or anything like that. But so I had that meeting and I had the website, and then I did my first boot camp. And the first boot camp, I did it in my home.
So, but you went from not wanting to do a boot camp.
Yeah, but I would only do it with 12 people, because I only sold 12 tickets.
So what were you charging?
I think it was $2,000 or $2,500.
Okay. Wow.
A person, and then there was just so many people who couldn't get in. I was doing it for 12, and so the next one was like 25 people. And again, I did it at my house, and so people would stay at a hotel, and I would rent a bus and go pick them up in the morning and bring them to my house, and then we would actually go on bus tours, and I would teach them out in the field with my real deals, everything that I was doing. And
Steve, how'd you do both? How'd you keep doing real estate and then still focus so much on like the education, the writing the books? Because I feel like that's one of the things that trips people up today.
Well,
is keeping both going.
I tell everybody those are two completely different businesses.
100%.
The education wasn't a business for me. I was not running it or treating it like a business. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just helping people and letting them be a part of my world. And so when I wrote the book, I mean, I sat down and I wrote the book, and it took me time to just document everything I was doing. I had another guy who did, the editing and put it all together and that for me. Somebody else was selling it. And, when I started my website, like I said, I just got the website up and running, and I just did the same thing I always did. I just answered people's questions, and the course just sold and sold and sold. And so, for a decade, I mean, I wrote a real estate investor business plan ebook. It was $39. That thing made me $3,000 a month for the next 10 years, that little ebook. And wholesaling for quick cash probably made me $5,000 to $10,000 a month. And I eventually started doing 4 boot camps a year, one every 3 months. I did them in the exact same hotel. I moved to a hotel, got to get it out of my house, but started doing a hotel, and we would, I'd have to get the big bus that would take 50 people. But I was doing like 4 of those a year then. And, but it was just an extension of what I was doing.
Yeah.
I didn't have a staff. So when I hired JP in like 2005 or 2006, I mean, I've been doing this for a number of years already. I was like, I need some help. This is starting to get a little bit busy. The only person who I was ever paying to help me was I had somebody who was taking my courses and putting them into envelopes and shipping them to people. Because we literally were going to a local print shop. There were no fulfillment houses or stuff where I could go to at that time. And so I was doing it that way. And then for my real estate, for the flipping business, I ended up having one assistant. Both of the businesses were so simple. It was high volume, but they were so simple. I ran everything with one assistant. I didn't have a big staff. I didn't have, I utilized my title company and my real estate agent, and so
to get deals.
No, I didn't have to worry about deals.
To do the transactions for you.
To do their part.
How are you marketing for deals?
I did everything on the MLS.
You wholesaled off the MLS.
Yeah.
So you invented that.
I was just making. I can't say that I invented.
No,
it.
I was
Ron LeGrand did.
Kind of joking because people are kind of going back to doing that now. But explain how you're wholesaling off the MLS, because if you were just negotiating it for less than what it was listed for.
So there's a couple of things, and I recently did a webinar on MLS offers probably 3 months ago, maybe 4 months ago, as my son has been helping me with it. I said, let's just put this out there. Some people will want to learn it. There's two really good ways to get properties off the MLS. One of them is just being quick. When something does get listed and it's a smoking deal, you got to be on it fast. And I bought many properties that way. I'm just the first one to the party, an uneducated real estate agent who's got perhaps an estate or probate property that they're listing. I can usually have those wrapped up within hours. But more importantly, it's the stuff that's just overpriced, that people have forgotten about. It's sitting out there. And so, it's always vacant. That I never buy occupied properties. I don't even try to. They're always vacant and overpriced. They've been listed for a while, and I just come on in with a lower offer. And I don't look at the houses. I make all my offers sight unseen. And my strategy is that I fish for motivation. So, if somebody's asking 200 and I come in with an offer of 110, I just, I'm sitting back. If they reject it or say, no, we want 200, I'm not going to bother. But if they move and they say, well, we can't do 110, but we can do 150, they're showing me they're motivated. And I still might get that for 110, but that is when I'll go look at the house. I'll now invest time in it because I know that seller is motivated. So I never expect my first offer to get accepted.
But you just make it so low.
I make it at a point that I know it will work for me. So it doesn't always have to be that drastic. I mean, they could be asking 130, but I know the neighborhood. I'm looking at pictures of the house. I mean, fortunately today, when I first got started, everything was printouts that my real estate agent gave me. There was nothing online. Comps were, we didn't have anything. I didn't have pictures to go off of. And so I did everything back when everything was antiquated and learned how to do it all then. And everything has made it so much easier today that I can actually see pictures of the house online and have a good feel. Right. But I'll just tell you, my preference is to buy houses that are just a complete wreck. I actually don't like buying a house that's in decent shape.
So you're the anti-Ron LeGrand. He wants the pretty houses.
I would much rather have them completely, the ones that nobody else wants are completely trashed. Because when I renovate a house, I want to redo everything. I want to put a house on the market that everything looks brand new. And so that's just the way that I would rather do it. And so when I'm making offers based off of me having to do a full-blown rehab. And I know what that number needs to be. If they're showing motivation, I'll go out and see, does it need a full-blown rehab? Is really all I'm doing. I'm going out there and evaluating the house to see, is there anything that can be redeemed here? Is the HVAC system fairly new? Can I come up $5,000, $6,000 or something like that? So that's sort of what I do. But it used to be back in the day, I would get 1 out of 30 to 40 offers. And I would continuously make offers on the same property until they either sold it to somebody else or accepted mine. And so, if they didn't accept it today, 3 weeks later, I might be firing another offer out there.
So even to this day, you went from a different market, you came into a brand new market, and you're still doing deals.
Yeah.
But even to this day, you're not really doing any of your own marketing. You're just working with real estate agents, which in a lot of cases is your son.
Now it is.
Because you've taught him the business. But you're working with real estate agents and you're working with other wholesalers. So there's no real marketing expense. Really, the strategy you're using is more negotiation tactics.
Yeah, I stopped marketing back in 2004, 2005. I stopped spending money on marketing. I completely changed the way that I was doing things. So MLS is free. I get to make offers on there. Our ratio today is far better than it's ever been. I mean, I get 1 out of every 4 or 5 on the MLS today when I make an offer. So we get quite a bit. Now, I'm not a high volume guy anymore. I don't want to be, but so we're wrapping up a rehab, and perhaps maybe I can take you out there and show you, but we'll be wrapping one up within the next week, and I want to get another one. So I told my son, let's go on the MLS and buy one next week. I mean, I can just about buy one at will these days.
So when you say these days, is that from going back like even a year ago, 2 years ago? Kind of, what are you seeing in the real estate market? Obviously here specific to Knoxville, but what are you seeing, like how many years back? How long have you been able to do this?
So
or it's 1 out of 4?
Ever since I moved here to Knoxville, I've been buying off the MLS. I've been trying to figure the market out, trying to learn market, because I didn't know anything. I'd never been to Knoxville before when I moved here. So it was a completely new market. So I've done various different kinds of deals since I've been here. I've flipped land. I have built new houses. I have done renovations. I've bought a mobile home park. I've been a lender to many people in the area. Bought some single family homes just to add to my rental portfolio, buying them in good shape and not doing anything to them. My plan is, at the end of the day, is pretty boring. It's really simple. It's not high volume. Many of my students say that it's boring but beautiful.
Yeah.
And they sort of wish it was the same. Their business was the same way. I stopped doing all that marketing around 2005, and instead what I did was I taught people how to go find deals, and oh, by the way, you can bring them to me and I'll buy them from you. I call it breeding bird dogs.
Sure. Were you teaching them to go spend money on marketing though?
I would teach people many different methods, and so what I would do, we would talk about, hey, there's 20, 30 different ways that you can find properties. These are free to cheap. These are going to cost you money. My recommendation is you do an awful lot of the free to cheap. If you want to spend money, here's some areas where you can spend money, and you can decide what your budget's going to be. And I was like, don't shoot your whole load in month 1 or something. Whatever it is that you're willing to commit to it, be willing to do it for about 6 months. You've got to be consistent. You're probably not going to get anything in month 1 or 2. If you do, great, but it tends to take a little while for that to produce. But I always taught people to do things differently. I mean, one guy who I helped, and this is an interesting story. His name is Henry. He's from Ireland, and he wanted to come to the United States and learn how to flip houses. And he ends up coming to the United States on a 90-day visa with no money in his pocket. Well, he had $500 was all he had. He's here for 90 days. I had an apartment in my office, so I let him stay in the apartment, but he said, all right, I want to flip a house before I go home. What do I do? I said, Henry, the first thing I'm going to do is pick the right neighborhood. I mean, he's like, I like those places where you're doing flips. I said, it's too competitive. You got to go to where there's more low-hanging fruit, and you're not going to go to the not-so-good part of town. And I said, here's what you're going to do. I want you to go design a flyer. he had to use the phone number for my office, but I said, put Henry Buys Houses on that flyer, and you're going to go down to this town, this part of town, and you're going to walk the streets door to door, and you're going to put your flyers out. And long story short, on his 87th day, he made a $5,000 wholesale profit and got to go home with $5,000. But it was, all kinds of marketing works if you do enough of it.
Right.
And, I just told him, you go out there every day. And he would go in the pouring rain. He would come back drenched at times. And when a phone call would come in and they said, is Henry there? We'd just say, he's not here right now. Let's just, we'll get his number. And I'd let him use my phone to call the people back because he didn't have a phone. So anyway, it was, obviously I gave him a little bit of a leg up, but I set the strategy up for him.
Sure.
And so I think that's one of the things in my coaching, which we haven't gotten to how that all came about yet. I create like a unique plan for every person. It's not a one size fits all. Mm-hmm. Everyone's goals are different. Their skill sets are different. Their resources are different. Their experiences are different. And I take all of that into consideration. How soon do you need to make money? Mm-hmm. Do you have a job that's paying your bills now? And I custom create a different plan for everybody, even to the extent that if they're in the same town that I'm in, and like in Baltimore in particular, I knew that town so well. I'd say this neighborhood, this pocket is what you should really be targeting. And here there's a couple of people now who I've been helping here in Knoxville. I don't do so much coaching with beginners, trying to get them up and running. Most everybody that I coach today is established and has an established business. Although that's when I'm having fun with my son, and now I got another guy who wants to get up and running, a young guy, and so it's creating a lot of excitement where I want to get back out there and start helping these younger guys get up and running again.
So you really hadn't been coaching so much. You'd kind of, I don't want to say shut it down, but you weren't focused on that, I guess, for a long period of time. But now you're kind of got the bug. Get back into it.
So I'm still coaching, but I'll share how it got started. The first person who I ever formally took on as a coaching student.
This is just like a one-on-one. This is like, you'd been doing the boot camps. People are asking you for the coaching. You keep saying no. Yeah. And now you're finally, you got worn down.
A guy is begging me, and he's just like, just name your price.
And you threw something crazy out there.
That's what I thought was crazy. I told him I'd coach him for a week for $6,000. I said, he was from Ohio and I was in Maryland. And I said, you can come on out. I said, spend 4 days with me. I'll come on out to Ohio for one day. I charged him $6,000.
For $6,000.
And when I said that to him, he just paused. And he said, all right, I'll do it. I was like, oh crap. and so I had my first official coaching student. And but again, that's the way it was. I never ever marketed for a coaching student. They just came to me, and so.
But they came from the website. I mean, you had a presence, though.
I had a presence, and local and on the website.
Right.
And so, but I wasn't saying, hey, I have a coaching program. All I was doing was helping people, and they were asking me to go into a deeper relationship with them. I didn't even have a sales letter for my course, let alone for coaching.
Right.
So then we had that meeting in the restaurant got so big, we started a RIA. And so the Mid-Atlantic Real Estate Investors Association, which still exists today, started that in 2002. But we had 120 people at our first meeting. Within 6 months, we had over 300 people a meeting coming there. And the whole goal was just abundance. It was, we want every person in this who walks through these doors to be successful, and that's our goal, is to help you be successful.
Because there were other RIAs. There were other real estate investor clubs in the area.
We were the fourth one at that time.
The fourth. What impact did you have on the other ones?
We became the biggest by far. I mean, most of the others existed for different reasons. Some of those RIAs were the old timers, sharks who were trying to take advantage of the new guys coming in. We let it be known, hey, if you're new, I mean, we did an orientation and taught all the new people, this is a common practice. You know, people like to take advantage of some of the new people. We don't want that to happen here. If anybody ever approaches you with anything or offers anything, come talk to us. We're here to help you. We want to see you succeed. Yeah. We're going to lead you in the right direction. We let it be known to the known sharks in town, you're not welcome here. Don't come on here.
So why did you start the RIA? It just got too big?
It just got too big. And so there was.
And what was the point of the RIA?
Was just to continue to keep helping people. And so that, you know, it had a different thing. And so I've helped many people start RIAs, and I was talking to a guy yesterday. I was literally laying out a plan for a guy yesterday to start the club. His angle is to be more of a Christian entrepreneurs group. And I said, you know, we really need something like this national. We got this national network of real estate investor associations. I would love to see a Christian entrepreneur thing go, you know, have a national network of them. But I was laying it all out for him. But I said, we got to start with what's the purpose of your group. Mm-hmm. And for him, he wants to get coaching, consulting clients out of it. So I said, you run that group different. And some people will start a real estate investor association, and the purpose of it is to get deals. Mm-hmm. Some of them want to run it as a nonprofit and just educate, people about what's going on and do lobbying and stuff for real estate investors. Some people want to bring in paid speakers. And, so you have to know what the purpose of that group was. Ours was really just to help people and to bring good education. Right.
But you eventually ended up getting more coaching students.
Well, so what happened was, one of the mistakes that I made with the RIA was there were 7 owners and it was a board. Couldn't get anything done. Because I told the people, I said, look, I'm not interested in running the group. I said, if there were enough people who stepped up who are willing to do all the heavy lifting, I'm willing to get behind the group and get it started. And so that in that very moment, one person's like, I'll do this and I'll do this and I'll do that. And we had seven people involved. And but in the midst of that, people were asking me for coaching. And then I had this group of people saying, no, you can't do that. That's taking away from us. And I was like, all right, guys, this isn't going to work for me. So I ended up selling out of the club in return to be able to start a coaching program. So one of the other people and myself, we started a coaching program. And so at that time, I developed the real estate coaching program that has been modeled by so many people across the country now.
And what's the model?
Basically, where we would help them to do their first 3 flips and do deal splits on their first 3. And the way that we structured it and the way that we took payment, we literally had and brought on coaches at that time from around the country. So we were replicating. It was called the club. It was just simply the club. And but we had coaches in many states across the country who we were having them utilize that model and even helping them to put people in. And Steve Kavanaugh was one of those people. And he really took the model that we had and then went and improved upon it. But the way that we charged people, they would pay an upfront and then a monthly fee and a deal split. But I always said that your upfront was something that you would get back. The only reason, that's just a deposit ensuring you don't waste my time. I'm going to spend time with you. I'm going to teach you what I know, and as long as you put it to work, you get your money back. If you don't, I'm keeping your money. So it was incentivized.
So you were, assuming they went out and did deals, you were making money on the monthly, and then you're making money on the deal split.
Yeah, and I was lending many of them. I was helping to grease the skids to get their deals done. So I had relationships with lenders in town, and if they didn't have money for the down payment to work with the bank, I was lending them their down payments and things like that. And so we had, in year 1, we got 48 students.
And you had a partner in this.
Yeah. And so he ran all the administration, and I sat across the table and sat in the group meetings. I did all the coaching and the teaching. And we had But I had such a demand of people who wanted to be coached. Like the first month, it was 24 people who signed up. And then throughout the rest of the year, we picked up another 24. And
what was the upfront?
$8,000.
8,000. And they would get that back over what period of time?
With their first deal.
They get it back on their first deal.
So if we had just for numbers sake, if we had a $16,000 profit on deal one, and we got half, they got half, we just didn't get anything. They got reimbursed their $8,000.
So they got the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then what would incentivize them to keep going?
They
wanted to keep getting coached.
Yeah. And so the irony was, was a lot of hand holding the first deal, then a little bit the second deal. And my goal as a coach was always to teach them so they didn't need me. Too many coaches do too much of the work for their students, and then they don't ever learn. My goal was, I said, look, I'll go with you to your first houses on, deal number 2. No, it's your responsibility.
Right.
You go out there, I'll check over your shoulder, make sure you're doing it right, but you're going to do the work. And, I always said I would be a bad coach if I did it for you. And, the ultimate goal is by the time you finish deal number 3, you don't need me anymore.
Right. How did you come up with that model? What convinced you that would work?
I don't know. So, it ended up being brilliant, and I'll tell you why. And I think it was just more really just through prayer, like, Lord, I don't know what to do here. I don't know how to do this. But here's what happened. The $8,000 up front gave them incentive. I want to get my money back. I got to do a deal. We had 87% of the people in that program had gotten their first deal within 9 months. And so it was a very high success ratio in there. The monthly fee, our obligation to them lasted as long as they paid the monthly. If they stopped paying it, we had no more obligation.
What was the monthly? Do you remember?
Like $297.
Oh, okay.
And so we didn't have any further obligation to them if they stopped paying the monthly. And so the decision for how long they wanted to be in the program was theirs. I had done, like shortly after that one guy paid me the $6,000, I had done some mentoring where people paid me everything up front, and a year later I was still coaching them. Mm-hmm. That, as much as I liked helping people, that felt like a liability. I felt like, it was like, when do I get away from it?
Yeah, there was no clear end to the relationship.
And so it wasn't intentional on my part that, hey, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do this and charge $297 so they determine the end of this relationship. That wasn't why I did it, but the effect of that was I didn't feel, as long as you're paying me, I'll keep on.
Sure.
I'll be here for you 5 years from now if you still want me to be. But
what made you confident in the beginning when you first started coaching people? As I know, just listening to your story, it didn't sound like you really even wanted to do that. You had your own real estate business, but what made you confident enough to take someone's money and know that you could actually help them?
Well, I would say that I wasn't necessarily that way. I mean, that's why when that first guy kept pushing me, I was...
Is that what you were battling?
Yeah, like, who am I? Who am I? How to be able to do this? I eventually got over that, especially when I started doing the larger group, and we had those 48 people, because what I recognized that we have a lunchtime mastermind, and there's 20 people there, and then I got one person over here who's killing it, and then 2 other people here saying, Steve, this isn't working, and I was saying, well, what's not working? You've been in the exact same room that he's been in. You've heard all the exact same teaching that he's heard. It's working for him, and it's working for him, it's working for him. What's the problem?
That's some pretty serious accountability right there.
And so I'd say, with all due respect, I didn't give them anything more than I gave you. And so, well, this stuff isn't working. I said, well, Joe, how many offers did you make last week?
Right.
Well, I made 20. And so how many offers did you make? Oh, you didn't make any, but you want the same results. Well, when you make 20 offers, then come back in here and let's have that conversation. Right. And so my confidence level started really going up then, because so many of my students were successful.
Good results.
Through flipping homes, through the website and the coaching.
Sure.
So I had tremendous so many of my students who weren't in a formal coaching relationship with me were still successful through what I taught them on the forum. And so, and I never held back. I was teaching people 100% from my own experiences and eventually from the experiences of my students who I'm walking with and, you know, working with them side by side. So it really started to become, I have tremendous confidence in my ability to be able to help and coach people today because I've just done it for so much. I mean,
you've seen results.
Tons, yeah. And I know that when the results aren't there, that's not me. It's they're not doing their part. But the one thing that I'm good with today is I understand, and I've seen enough things where somebody comes in and they're really excited, then life happens. Something happens that throws them off. You know, you have a life experience. You're not ready to make the most of that program in the moment, and so I'm willing to wait on them when life gets back. And that's one of the things I love about Lifeonaire is because, you know, I'm with people, we develop a life vision for their life, and that's my goal, is to help them live that life.
Right.
I mean, it's not what we do with their business, whatever business that might be, is just designing that business to give them the life that they want. Right. But when life happens and they get off track, I'm there with them. Then when they can start to get their head above water again, let's go back to your vision. Let's pick up where we left off, and then we can go right back into it again.
In your experience with coaching people, what do you feel like there are common attributes that people have that make that you know they're going to be successful? How do you know what does it take to be successful in this business?
Honestly, when I would sit there and do teachings, you know, like a boot camp or something, and you got 30 or 40 people in the room, I mean, I'd secretly be judging the people in the room, like, oh, this person's gonna kill it, and this person doesn't have a chance. And I was so wrong so many times. I stopped doing that. You know, I sit down and I'm very honest. If somebody wants to be coached by me, I'll tell them, I don't think you're ready. I don't think that this is something that you should do. And then I'll tell you that usually motivates them. And they say, like, how dare you?
Right.
I'm going to prove you wrong. No, I want to be in your program. And then they're a rock star. But I legitimately, when I'm talking to them, like, all right, I don't feel like you have it, but it's something sparks in them. I've been shocked. So, and then in both ways, I've had people that I thought would be wildly successful because they just had it all together and they great communicators, smart, and then sometimes they're too smart. They talk themselves out of everything. They're too much the skeptic. They don't believe what you're telling them.
But let's just go with after the fact, after they start getting into the program, after you start teaching them, are there common attributes that some have that make them successful?
Taking action, number one thing.
Just taking action.
Yeah, they're willing to act upon it. And so whether they accomplish what they wanted to accomplish or not, they're going to learn from those actions, and it's going to create the next step, you know, taking a step forward. So I always try to get people to focus just on the next step. And when they come on into me and they want to talk to me about their business plan and how they want to do 12 deals a year, I'm like, we'll get to that.
Yeah, cool.
That doesn't matter until you get deal number one done.
Sure.
You know, and we can't even talk about deal number two until you get deal number one done. So we'll get there. Let's just focus on what do you need to do to get deal number one. And so I really focus on trying to get people to just take the next important step that's going to eventually get them to that 12 deals a year or whatever it is that they want. But too many people get too distracted. I mean, I've seen people trying to go in and get lines of credit for $2 million and they haven't done their first deal yet. And I'm like, even if I gave you $2 million, you wouldn't know what to do with the money. It's more money than you can handle at this point. Let's get deal number one. We'll get you the money for deal number one, and when you're ready for $2 million, we'll get you your $2 million. But you know, let's take it a step at a time.
Right. So, and then it seems, just speaking with you, it seems like just the concept for Lifeonaire which I think you're probably most known for today. If I just talking to people outside of, I don't know if that's what you intended or not. But the concept for Lifeonaire seems like it had always been there. It had always been stirring, and then you decided to just kind of take action and put it into practice.
What happened was I loved teaching and helping people, and when flipping homes started taking off, I had some wildly successful students, but I had two of my most successful students. One was going through a divorce, and one's family was just really becoming dysfunctional. And the reality of the situation was they were so focused on the success of their business that they were neglecting the stuff at home. And I felt really convicted about that. I almost stopped teaching. And I was just in prayer. I was like, Lord, I can't keep on teaching people if that's what it's going to lead to. And something has to change. I don't want to lead people down this path of making money and losing their family.
But just to pause real quick though, that, just speaking from personal experience, that can be a pretty wild change in a family.
Yeah.
To go from not a whole lot to
100%.
Now it's like all the dynamics within the family have now changed.
Yes.
All the rules have changed.
Yep.
Everything's changed.
And the thing, I 100% get that because I experienced that myself too. But that's where having a clear vision before we get started, ultimately what Lifeonaire happened, that we navigate that.
Now I'm with you there, and that makes sense today looking back on things.
Yeah.
But when you're in it, and let's just take the person that's just broke, because you lived it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm broke. I don't have a vision. I don't need or even want a vision for the maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I need a vision for right this second.
100%.
I need to live in today. I can't even, you might be talking to me about one day. Now, Brian, when you get all this money, I just want to eat today. I just want to keep my lights on.
So two things.
And I'm not trying to push back on you. I'm just trying to.
Yeah, so I think you're misinterpreting a little bit, but I get that. So I tell people, because I was very much in survival mode, it is hard when you're in survival mode to look at anything beyond today. So my first goal, I acknowledge that when somebody's in survival mode, I got to make money just to pay my bills and feed my family this month. Let's go ahead, let's get that done. And I got to help them to do that consistently. And I say, okay, now maintain this so we can start looking ahead. But when we look ahead, my goal is not, I'm going to help you make this money so you can do this. When we talk about vision, we don't talk about money at all. Because I say, whether you make money or not, you're going to live this life. We're not going to make being the dad who shows up for all the kids' things contingent upon you making money, because if you don't make money, I don't want you to fail. We're gonna do this. You're going to be that dad. You're going to be that husband, whether you make $3,000 a month or $30,000 or $300,000. More money doesn't make that easier. If you're not that guy,
that's right.
More money isn't going to change you. More money isn't going to make you more generous. More money isn't. It's just going to magnify who you already are. So we got to start these disciplines today. Yeah. I'm going to help you. So the first question, if I ask somebody, why do you want to be a real estate investor? Yeah. What is it that you hope to achieve? If somebody says, well, I want more money, well, why? Well, ultimately, what everybody wants is a better life. Nobody starts any business or takes the risk of starting a business in hopes that their life will be worse for doing it. They all want a better life. But all too often, people just equate a better life with making money, and they never contemplate, what is a better life? What does that really mean? How would I live my life if I did have more money? And that's the part that I make them think about and define. And so the ultimate goal of your business is to help you be this person, to live this life. And we're going to build your business. If you make 10 grand a month, you're still going to live this life. If you make 100 grand a month, you're still going to live this life. I mean, the goal is this life. And so with little or much, I'm going to be successful here. And that's sort of what we do with Lifeonaire.
Yeah.
And is to really help people to live and experience that life. And so, we've seen many of the pitfalls. I try to walk through people with, here's the decisions that will pull you away from that. So don't do this. Live simply, keep your expenses low. I made the decision in 2006 to stop borrowing. And it wasn't because I had a ton of cash. I had a ton of debt at that time. I had $4.5 million in debt. I was playing by the world's rules, doing everything that I was supposed to do. And and you have to understand this, when I made that decision 3 years earlier, I had zero assets. And then I acquired $7 million in assets, $4.5 million in good debt. But that debt was controlling me at that point. It was all consuming. I was losing sleep at night. Before I had that debt, when I heard of a need, whether it was a ministry or somebody's house burned down, whatever it was, I would give away every dime I had to help somebody. Once I had that debt, and then people were still coming to me and asking me, hey, Steve, could you help here? I was like, I got bills to pay. I didn't say that, but in my heart and my mind, I was becoming stingy. I was becoming greedy. I was trying to hold on because I was now I was being mastered by the lender. I was their servant, and I was like, man, this is not who I want to be. Right. I'd rather be the little guy who just doesn't own much and lives a simple life so that I can still be generous when somebody needs it, or I can just be free. I'm losing sleep at night. My marriage is struggling. Stress is causing health problems, but I was on the surface, the whole world looking at me like, man, I want to be like Steve. And the interesting part about that was I got together with people from my church, a Christian estate planner, a Christian financial planner, a Christian accountant, and other Christian business owners. And this was when I started making money, and I was like, I want to do the right things. What do I do? And they all said, they designed a plan for me and said, do this. So I did exactly what they told me to do. And 3 years later, $7+ million in assets, $4.5 million in debt, and my life was worse. And the thing was, at the beginning, not one of those people said, what do you want your life to look like?
Right.
All they wanted to do was build my net worth.
Right.
My net worth grew. The plan worked. It did exactly what it was supposed to do, but it wasn't what I wanted. What we really wanted was a better life.
And did you know what you wanted at that time?
I didn't know. It was through that experience I was like, wait a minute, what I really wanted was what I had before I got all of this stuff. I was free. I could just give my money away. And I didn't have much. I didn't own much. But I had peace. I had joy. I had margin in my life.
Right.
I could help people. And the more I did and the more I acquired, the less freedom I had.
Yeah.
Especially when there was debt tied to it.
Man, a lot of this sounds familiar to me.
It does to a lot of people. The first time when that really hit me, and I went, the next time I sat in front of a RIA, one of the questions I said is, I told my story. I said, how many of you people want what I have? And everybody in the room raised their hand. I said, well, now let me tell you what it's really like.
You don't even know they didn't even know what you had.
And I said, I told them about, I got $7 million in assets, and I did all this, and I got this, and I said, well, now let me tell you the results of it. I said, it's not all it's cracked up to be. And I'm doing something different, and I'm getting rid of it all. I want to live life. And the whole room was just like looking at me like, I can't believe you just said that. The leader of the Rio was almost ready to take me off the stage. Like, what are you doing? You're telling them to do less and to live more. And I'm like, yeah. And it just started, but everybody told me I was crazy when I first started going out there. A lot of people was like, what's wrong with Steve? And rumor was I was going under, and people were talking in the background, and I was choosing to live life and create a business that would give me the life that I wanted. And so those pictures, those boys, and I was just with, I don't know if you know, but I have 6 grandkids and 5 kids, and some of my kids are still at home. But just a couple weeks ago, there's all of my children and grandkids.
Got them all together at the beach.
And that's what I live for.
Yeah.
And it's more than just words. I will say no to a deal in a heartbeat if it will take away from the life that I have.
Yeah.
And people would. I don't get presented with too many opportunities anymore because I say no all the time. But it used to be, hey, Steve, I got this opportunity for you. We'll make a lot of money with it. And my first question would be, well, how much of my time is it going to take?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, let me just tell you how much you're going to make. I don't care how much I'm going to make. If it's going to take too much of my time and it's going to interfere with my life, then it doesn't matter how much money it is. I'm not interested. Yeah. And so I focus more on impact than I do on profits. Yeah. And I trust that if I'm making enough impact, that all I need will come.
Yeah. I've gotten to the same point. I never did the real estate that you did. I never had that. I never did all those flips. I did a lot of wholesales. I got up to 77 rentals, but I lost it all. Got divorced. I lost all that. Mm-hmm. And in 2019, I went back and looked. I flew to a different city 25 times that year to speak. And by the end of that year, my wife leaves and my kids are 5 and 3. And I kind of missed ages 0 through 5 and 0 through 3 with my daughter and my son. Not really. I was still at everything, but I wasn't present. Mm-hmm. And it was like, it was this big wake up call.
I'm grateful because my 2 oldest daughters, I messed up with. The Lord gave me a second chance with my 3 boys. And so my 2 oldest are 36 and 26. Mm-hmm. And then I have a 19, 17, and 14-year-old at home. And so my oldest grandson is older than my youngest son.
Oh, wow.
But the Lord gave me a second chance. I messed up too. I really messed up with my 2 daughters, and I'm so grateful for the relationship that I do have with them today.
Okay, good.
Bad.
I messed up, but I messed up when they were still pretty young, and our relationship. It's all I wanted to, is since then. All I wanted to do is be a great dad. Mm-hmm. I don't need to worry about money. I don't need to worry. I'm very fortunate. I'm incredibly blessed. We're all blessed. I feel like, but I don't have my kids very often. But when I have them, oh yeah, I'm full time in it. Dad. I coach all the sports. I'm at all the recitals. I'm at everything, and wouldn't have it any other way.
The biggest thing that I would want anybody who's listening to this to hear and know about that is, if you're messing up, you can change. It just has to become the priority, and that's where I really became passionate about. Okay, look, you've already learned how to make money. It's not making your life better. The only way now is let's divert your attention here. What do you really want? Why are you doing this in the first place? And I was the guy who said I'm doing it for my kids.
Yes.
And it's a famous thing. It makes us feel better when we say it, but it's not true for many of us. And I wanted that to be true. And I coach a guy right now. He has more money than he'll ever need. He was really, really blessed with he came up with a little app that got leveraged into roll-ups and everything. Eventually, a $1.4 billion valuation for a company. His piece of it was really small, but a piece of a $1.4 billion is a lot of money. And so he's got more than he'll ever need. But the situation for him was that he was pushed out of the business by his best friend and another guy. And he wants to go build more businesses. One of the driving factors is that he wants to prove to his buddies that I could do this without you. I get it. But I challenged him with just be the best dad that you can possibly be. Yeah. You don't need any money. God blessed you in such a way that you can be there for your kids. Yeah. I said, here's the deal. 10 years from now, those guys will probably have more money than you, but they will want what you have.
Mm.
They're going to want the relationship with their kids that you have with yours that they missed out on because they were so busy trying to make money. And he's really taken that to heart. He's a fantastic dad and still out there. He's actually, I think he's acquiring a business as we speak. He's buying another business. But yeah, that's my heart is really just that's why we do it all in the first place. And
Right.
I want to hold people true to that. This is what it's all about. And so whether you make a lot of money or not, you can still be successful in that area.
For sure. I guess we'll leave it right there. I think that's a good place to end. Really do appreciate you inviting me into your office and speaking with you for a few minutes.
Appreciate it.
And guys, we appreciate y'all watching, and we'll see you on the next one.